Now I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been playing quite a lot of arcade games recently.
What with doing the port videos for the Amiga and Spectrum and all, I seem to have caught the arcade bug. Most of my game playing time has been spent kicking about on MAME and randomly playing stuff that I either like the sound of or am already quite familiar with.
Of course, I've always loved the arcades. When I was a kid, I used to drag my parents down there almost every week or so, until they lied to me and said that the arcades actually shut up shop for the winter. And I took that at face value, you know, for about a couple of weeks or so. Good times, good times.
So anyway, I've been thinking about doing an arcade video, and seeing as I haven't done a good old-fashioned top 10 in a while, I thought I'd combine the two. But where do you start? There's so damn many arcade games that just trying to do a plain old favourite list becomes a massive undertaking. And although being all negative and doing a worst list probably gets more people through the turnstiles, I don't want to do that. So I established a cut-off point, one that actually judges the games on their own merits and doesn't have much nostalgia attached to it. There was already enough of that in the port videos. So I picked 1985, the year of my birth. Yep, we're going quite old school. We've got games from the early 80s, and even a couple from the late 70s. I may have played all of them after the fact, but I love them anyway. These games may only do a couple of things, but they just do them so damn well.
The look and feel of these games was never really replicated again either. When the video game crash came around, a lot of these games just kind of died out. Bit of a shame, but it makes them immortal. They're completely unburdened by the ravages of time.
And I still love them. I didn't base this list on influence or technical prowess or anything like that, just simply on how much I enjoy and adore them to this day. Some big games had to get cut, frankly, and I'm sure you'll tell me all about the ones I've missed in the comments.
So sit tight, do your best, stick those 10p's on the counter and get ready for the ride of your life, because we are counting down the top 10 greatest, or at least my personal favourite, arcade games made before 1985. And here's...
Number 10. Well, you can't say that this list starts off small. Taito's Space Invaders is still what most people who don't play video games probably immediately think of when they're mentioned. The beep boop, the pew pew pew, maybe even the funny little alien walk. Even my mum loves this game, one of the few she's ever had any time for. And everyone had time for it, because just about everyone, without exception, played it. Days, months, perhaps even years were lost to this one game. More so even than the likes of Pac-Man, Pong and the 2600, the idea of video games was generated and driven forward by Taito's Space Invaders. And after 35 years, the game hasn't lost a step. Space Invaders pretty much invented the shoot-'em-up genre, but it feels more like a shoot-out. You dodge in and out of cover, exchanging fire with the alien horde, terminally aware that they're shuffling ever closer by the second, those beeps and boops representing your time just ticking away. It can be quite tricky, especially as the herd thins out. Perhaps the hardest part of the game is when you simply have one enemy left to kill and they're moving like greased lightning. When you take them out, you breathe a big sigh of relief. Or you start panicking like buggery if you don't. Some games on this list are out and out intensity from start to finish, but Space Invaders creeps up on you. It almost toys with you. And that's never really changed through all these years and all the many different versions of the game. Like the newer versions of Pac-Man, they almost all boil down to the 78 original. And it's still a great experience that's not often been repeated. On the whole, you know, I think it makes a pretty good case for the top 10. So let's move on. Number 9. We stay in the shooter realm, but jump forward about 4 years for Konami's Time Pilot. You guide a spaceship through the 20th century, fighting all the best and most exciting wars our age has to offer. It's quite a bit like another arcade classic, Namco's Bosconian, in that you can fly in whatever direction you want, but Time Pilot feels a little bit looser in the controls department. In the main, it's here for those great controls and the way it feels like a big mass dogfight. You loop your ship around, gracefully dodge bullets and missiles, and then find a way to get right onto your opponent's tail and come hard. A lot of shmup games don't really make you feel like an ace pilot. After all, you can only usually move in a few directions, but Time Pilot, well, that most definitely does. It's a kind of new game to me, probably the newest on the list, and it's perhaps the most conventional game on the list when it comes to looks. It looks like 1001 games that came after it, to be honest. But I loved it from the first second I played it, and it more than deserves a place in my top 10. Number 8. Let's head back briefly to the ZX Spectrum video, and all of those great specky arcade ports, because here's one that I didn't mention, Elite's brilliant 1985 port of Bomb Jack, originally made by Tekken in 1984. This is a case where I played the port first, without being aware of the game's arcade roots, and perhaps that's influenced the game's place in the top 10. Not that it matters all so much, because brilliant port or not, Bomb Jack's just another gem. The big jumps are always a plus, as is the gliding. It allows you to get out of a lot of tight spots. There's so much going on behind the scenes here though, so many different bonuses that'll tempt you, from the power-ups that fly around, to the thought of chaining a whole level, getting every bomb in the correct lit fuse sequence. If all you concentrated on was just avoiding the enemies and getting the bombs no matter what, the game would be so much easier. But you'll never do that. You'll always get too cocky and take too many risks. It's just the way the game works. And it's always fair. As far as cute single-screen games go, Bomb Jack is right up there with Bubble Bobble. It hooks you in, and it makes you smile. Or grimace, depending on how badly you're doing. Number 7. Now the first 3 entries have all been Japanese, 2 of them fairly close to my cut-off point. However, that all changes here. In fact, there's only one more Japanese game in the list. The Americans are coming. More specifically, Atari are coming, Bally Midway are coming, and Williams, oh my god, Williams are definitely coming. It all starts with Defender, Williams' 1980 gem that practically invented the scrolling shooter and was a humongous step forward in general. There was nothing like Defender back then, and despite 1,000,001 clones of the game, it's still a colossus. Mainly because it is so bloody difficult. It's easily the hardest game on the list, and frankly I'm terrible at it. Most people only last a few seconds in the game. It moves with such speed and throws it all at you right from the word go. It's a shmup where you'll likely die on the first enemy you see. The clue is of course in the title. You're it, the last line, and you have one objective. Try and save as many people as you can before you're inevitably killed. It's still one of the hardest games ever made. And yet because of that it's one of the most addicting. It urges you to have one more go at hammering against the brick wall. Eugene Jarvis may well have a lot to answer for, but he's still one of the greats, and he'd still be even if this was the only game he ever made. And those sound effects, oh, good grief. To sum up, Defender is the very best form of pure sadomasochistic torture there has ever been. It's the first time Williams have appeared in the list, and here's a little spoiler. It won't be the last. Number 6. Multitasking is most certainly an acquired skill. Some say it's based on gender, but then some people are really stupid and we shouldn't just adopt all of their standards. You can improve yourself. Your mind's a multi-core processor and it can do so many different things at once. And I reckon one of the best ways to learn how is to play a few rounds of Tapper, Bally Midway's Smash from 1983, where you play the most overworked bartender in the world, a man solely responsible for serving 4 bars filled with thirsty patrons. Even the folks at Amy's Bacon Company would consider that extreme. Tapu is a rather unique beast amongst all these games. So many people define these old games by how much you mash the fire button, and indeed you're generally served well by doing that. Tapu on the other hand requires precision. You need to slide just the right amount of beers down the bar to those patrons, otherwise you'll end up breaking glasses and losing lives. You need to count all the patrons at every bar, from those who have a quick snifter to those who are all in for a serious bender, sliding glass after glass back down the bar at you. It's constant time management and risk assessment. Can I serve these guys drinks before grabbing those glasses? What about that tip over there? Oh, holy crap, those guys are right on top of me. So many thoughts all in a nanosecond. It's a toughie, this one. But who boy is it satisfying when you finally clear a bar and pour yourself a well-deserved cold one. It may look rather crude, but few games are as demanding or indeed as fun as Tapu is. Cheers. Number 5. When I set about compiling the list, I kind of thought there'd be quite a few vector games on here. I love the way a lot of them play, and I especially love the way they look. You've never seen such a pure, dark black. Just that and all of those lines, and you know you're in for some good old school gaming fun. But in the end, only one vector game made the top 10. Perhaps the most famous one of them all, Atari's Asteroids, another somewhat famous title, all the way from Shakedown 1979, where cool kids never had the time, because they were much too busy playing this. Asteroids has a similar sort of creeping feeling that Space Invaders has, probably due to both of them having that pulse effect going on, but it is a bit more frantic. You can actually fly around everywhere, even wrapping around the screen if you desire. And those woks will certainly fly around all over the place as well. They may not do anything special, but they'll certainly sneak up on you whenever you least expect it. The momentum in Asteroids just feels so right, and gives you so much freedom over how you play. It takes a bit of time to get used to the thrust, but once you do, you'll be pulling off all sorts of tricks. You know, it's funny really, even in this list we've seen games like Time Pilot and even Defender that were in many ways directly inspired by Asteroids, but the granddaddy of them all can still beat them handily. Number 4. Imagine if you woke up every day to this little jingle. Wouldn't your life be improved? Or if it played in your head whenever you were about to do some serious job, even if it was something like getting the washing in when it's pissing down outside. The Galaga jingle would just put a smile on your face. This is the last Japanese game on the list, Namco's 1981 shooter that's somewhat similar to Space Invaders, but with a few twists, like this one for example. I'll be honest, one of the main reasons why I like Galaga so much is because it's so pretty. I love all the insectoids that fly at you in such creative formations. I love them so much that whenever I see that in another game, I always say that they're just Galagaing around. Still, it isn't just a pretty face, it's got everything you need in a shooter, from big planned movements to sharp evasions, challenging stages to never-ending waves, and that little bit of risk as well. Do you dare to take the twin ship option? It's double the size, but double the firepower. And of course, there's that jingle. It'll make everything better, and I really do mean everything. Of all the games in the top 10, Galaga is the one that I'd put on if all I really wanted to do was just kick back and relax. Number 3. You didn't half get some odd ideas in those early days of gaming. Joust, the Williams classic from 1982, came about because a bunch of people didn't really want to make another space shooter. They wanted to do something different. So instead of ships, you have a man on a flying ostrich. And you don't even have any bullets. All you have is yourself. You can't say that Joust isn't fair. It's the purest form of combat there is. Two birds collide, and whichever one's got the higher ground wins. Simple. And there's been nothing quite like it before or since. Joust is perhaps the most unique game on the list, as it's so hard to imitate. Joust is just so competitive and oh so satisfying. A lot of it has to do with the sound effects actually, an area where Williams were unmatched. Loud noises that tear right through you. Defender had them in spades, and so does Liss. But you can play Joust in so many different ways. You can try as much as you can to react to the wind beasts flying at you, or you can try and predict their movements and set up a plan. Get yourself in a spot where you know they'll be coming through, and perhaps even nail a few of them in a row. Of course, you've got to make sure you get those eggs and all. The last thing you want is to have to do it all over again. It's easy to say that there's nothing like a certain game, but Joust is one of the few cases where that is actually true. It's games like this that make Williams arguably the best developers of the whole golden age. Number 2. Yeah, did I mention how much I love Williams? Or that Eugene Jarvis is one of the greatest minds in the history of gaming? I'm sure I probably did somewhere. Hell, he created Defender, so he must have done something right. But while Defender is his most famous game, 1982's Robotron 2084 remains his masterpiece. It's perhaps the game on this list that still has the most impact on gaming today. Ever since the direct homage to the game that was Geometry Wars, we've seen no end of arena shooters with whacked out visuals and breakneck action. And hell, a lot of them are really damn good. But Robotron, amazingly, did all of it first. Just look at the game. It could easily have been made right frickin' now. And listen to it as well. Perhaps the greatest sound effects in gaming history, right here. The shot sounds like the frickin' Venetian snares going at it in full breakbeat mode. And the other sounds make you think that there's a full-size Moog synthesizer lurking in the cabinet. And all those flashing colours, it's just intoxicating. The last surviving family on Earth may well die as you rush around trying not to take everything in and focus on taking down all the goons before they get you, but who's bothered about that? Robotron is the only game that it would be socially acceptable to play in a nightclub. Hell, if you hooked it up to a big enough screen, it could do all the lighting for you. And of course, the gameplay is simply faultless. Robotron is an absolute wonder that has often been imitated, but never ever bettered, and it was very, very close to taking the top spot. Number 1. But in the end, the top spot went to the game that I always thought would take it. For all of Williams' insane histrionics, Atari won the day. Ever since I was young, playing a PD version of the game on an Amiga, I've always felt there was something special about Missile Command. Of all the games here, it's perhaps the one that's most of its time. It looks, plays and feels as though it came from 1980. Other games may have better graphics and they may even be more fun to play, but as a package, as something that takes you back to an era you may not have even experienced, it's impossible to top Missile Command. It's more than nostalgic, it's utterly evocative. Of course, by the time I became aware of the existence of nuclear weapons, people as a whole had stopped living in fear of the world being turned to glass. And yet Missile Command can take me to a world filled with Cold War paranoia. It even affected the people who made it. Many of them have spoken of having nightmares about Armageddon as they made the game. 'Cause, you know, this is it. The last day on Earth. The missiles come down relentlessly, and you can't halt them forever. And just what's happening outside these cities anyway. The world is most likely already ruined. We're just prolonging the inevitable. And yet we keep on going, simply trying to survive as a human race for that little while longer. Perhaps I'm overthinking Missile Command a tad, I don't know. But there's just that aura about it. A final, controlled panic. The action is unbelievable, and every lost shot is a disaster, a nightmare. Missile Command games always tend to finish in the same way. You miss one shot, and from there you just spiral out of control. In a split second your batteries are destroyed, and all you can do is watch helplessly as the cities burn. Missile Command just had to be number 1 in the end. It channels a dark force that the other games aren't capable of. And for just a couple of minutes it actually triggers your survival instincts until you just can't go anymore. And when the last city goes down, nothing more needs to be said aside from 2 simple words.